It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Wednesday evening to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers on a bad roll. They've lost 4 in a row, and they have some bad news. Zach Greinke, who has 18 victories salted away, will not pitch tonight. He's got a bad right leg, and in his place, it'll be Carlos Frias, who will really have some big shoes to fill. Among other things, why Greinke was 7-0 all the way going back to 2012 against Arizona. So for Carlos Frias, he has a record of 5-5, no record against Arizona, 1-0 lifetime. Facing him will be Chase Anderson. He has a record of 6-6. He has no record against the Dodgers this year, and he is 1-1 lifetime. For the Dodgers, battling the Giants. And while Carlos Frias is on the mound tonight down in San Diego, Jake Peavy will be pitching for the Giants, who are 6 back, and the magic number remains 7. And then tomorrow, Clayton Kershaw pitching here, Madison Bumgarner down south. What about Greinke? He is due to pitch Monday in San Francisco. The magic number is still 7, and for the Dodgers, they have a half-a-game lead on the Mets as far as home field advantage is concerned. So Kershaw tomorrow at noon, and stay tuned, pull up a chair. We've got a big ball game coming up and a whole lot more right after this. To Dodger Stadium as the Dodgers take on Arizona in Game 3 of the 4-game series. Tonight marks the return of Jimmy Rollins at shortstop, and the question has been answered: when Rollins comes back, what about Corey Seager? And the answer is Corey Seager is tonight's third baseman. For the Dodgers, as they take the field, anyone and everyone who loved this game of baseball realizes that we lost a gem. Lawrence Yogi Berra from the Hill, as they call that Italian area in St. Louis. I was asked today, and it made me think about him. What is his legacy? And the legacy of Yogi Berra, I believe, as long as people talk about the game, whenever they mention the name Yogi Berra, they will smile, because he was that kind of a human being. Don Mattingly played with him, knew him so very, very well. Don normally wears a windbreaker, but he is not wearing the windbreaker tonight. He is proud to wear number 8. That was Yogi's number when Don played with him in New York. It was the one number he wanted, and as Mattingly says, every day I put that uniform on, I look at the number 8, and I think of Yogi. Yogi Berra, one of the sweetest men and one of the great players, overshadowed by some of the great names in Yankee history like Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig. But for instance, you know, he hit only 3 home runs less than Joe DiMaggio. Anyway, Yogi want to get on with the ball game, and Inciarte opens up with a fly ball to Scott Van Slyke, and we're underway. Well, let's take a look at the lineup featured by Chip Hale as Inciarte flies to left field. Chip writing down the names on his card. So it's Inciarte, then Chris Owings playing short. Nick Ahmed hurt his back last night, making a sensational play. A.J. Pollock in center. Paul Goldschmidt hits cleanup. David Peralta in left. Jared Saltalamacchia behind the plate. Jake Lamb at third. Brandon Drury moves over to second. Chase Anderson, the pitcher. So here's Chris Owings, looks at a strike, and the count 0-1. What a tough role for Carlos Frias. Zach Greinke 18-3, magnificent numbers, and unable to answer the bell. They tell me it's the same leg problem he had that prevented him from going to Australia with the Dodgers. It's the calf of his right leg. And of course, if you're a pitcher and you are right-handed, your right foot is on the rubber and you push off. And when he tries to push off, there's pain, and he's in danger of hurting his arm as well. So Mattingly and Honeycutt figured, okay, no chances at this stage, and they'll save Greinke for Monday in San Francisco. Fly ball to right field. Ethier comes up to put it away. So Frias has gotten 2 outs in the first inning, and we can take a look at the Dodgers with the leather. It's Gonzalez and Utley, Rollins and Seager at third. Van Slyke, Peterson, and Ethier. Grandal handling Carlos Frias. And Scott Van Slyke is in left field because Carl Crawford is out with a bit of shoulder bursitis, I understand. But Rollins is in there, and Seager's alongside of him. And the first pitch to Pollock is low and away, ball 1. So Crawford becomes a spectator tonight, and I'm sure he is very frustrated having to, quote, hang around. Pollock last night had a home run and a single. He had 2 doubles and a sacrifice fly in the first game. And the 1-0 pitch is taken for a strike, and the count 1-1. You might forget, Arizona is a building ball club, and they are building in the right direction. This is a team that scores a lot of runs. They're good defensively. They're young enough to stay together for a while. They need some pitching. The 1-1 pitch is taken low. Pitching, of course, is the rare commodity. To give you an idea, Carlos Frias pitching for the Dodgers tonight. He is the 16th different pitcher. So they're all trying him out this time of year. In the future, the solid part of the game is always at the mound. 2-1 pitch is swung on and missed. Arizona has been pretty consistent. They're a good enough ball club to be 500 on the road. They've won 38 for Hale. They have lost 38 for him. They've also split in the Western Division, 34-34. They are 5 games under at home. 2-2 pitch on the way is swung on, lifted on the infield. Going out, second baseman Utley calling and waiting and makes the catch. So Frias gets 3 balls up in the air and quickly gets 3 outs. And at the end of half an inning, Diamondbacks nothing and the Dodgers coming up. Takes the field, and the Dodgers ready to come up against the right-hander Chase Anderson. Here is Don Mattingly's lineup. Chase Utley opens up at second base. Corey Seager plays third base for the first time since he came up. Adrian Gonzalez at first base. Andre Ethier hits cleanup in right field. Yasmani Grandal will be the catcher. Scott Van Slyke is in left field. Jock Peterson in center. The return of Jimmy Rollins at short, and Carlos Frias on the mound. On the mound for Arizona, and especially watch the first 2 innings or so, is Chase Anderson. He has allowed 6 home runs in the first inning. He has allowed 19 runs in the first inning. Whether he just haven't quite gotten ready to warm up properly, maybe he feels a little strange on another team's mound, but whatever it is, Chase Anderson, a fine young pitcher, won 9 games last year, will start with Utley, then Seager and Gonzalez. We were looking back at Chase Anderson. He does very well on 4 days rest. Well, he has gotten 14 days rest as he goes to work tonight. He's 28 years old come November, from Wichita Falls, Texas, and Utley greets him with a long fly ball to center. Pollock to the wall, leaps in the air, and can't make the catch. Chase Utley, and there you have it again. In the first inning, he has now given up 7 home runs this year. Boy, that's got to be something that Arizona has to work on for sure. So Chase Utley hits it out. I'm glad we were able to get the note in just before that first pitch. So it was a fastball right out over the plate. Whether it's the first inning or the 9th, it was not a good pitch. Pollock goes high up the ladder, and for the second time in the series, the ball hits his fingertips and goes over the wall. Adrian Gonzalez hit one like that. Here goes Pollock, and you can see the glove almost come off his hand. He looks in the glove and it's empty. There's no sense of feel if you do catch the ball high up in the fingertips. So Pollock is frustrated. Utley is delighted, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. Seager, the left-hand hitter, playing third base, takes high. So for Chase Anderson, they're going to have to convince him when he goes to the mound it's the second inning. Hard to believe. The pattern has been there all year. 2-1 pitch on the way is lifted to left field. There's a play out there for David Peralta, and he makes the catch for the out.
We were talking about Pollock's frustration and the fact that he got the fingertips. On Monday night, he's going to go to the wall almost identically, leap in the air, and the ball will go off his fingertips. And again, he looks in his glove. See, it hit, almost took the glove off. Tonight, he goes up, and it gets away again. So he's 0 for 2, and each time so close he thought he might have caught it. Oh, we have one down. Here's Adrian Gonzalez. And on deck, Andre Ethier. Fastball is on the outside corner for a strike, and the count 0-1. Adrian with 28 home runs, 87 runs batted in, and 4 for 9 against Chase Anderson. Chase's fastball is a little high. 1 ball and 1 strike. What else can we tell you about Chase Anderson? Well, among other things, he's been saved from losses by his offense 7 times. The 1-1 pitch is low. He comes in with a record of 6-6. He lost games 4 times because of the bullpen. So it hasn't quite balanced out. 2 balls and 1 strike. Chase Anderson, an even 6-footer, 185, out of the University of Oklahoma. And the next pitch just inside, 94-mile-an-hour fastball. We mentioned about home runs in the first inning. 12 of the 18 home runs he has allowed have come in the first 3 innings. 3-1 pitch is low. So Gonzalez aboard with 1 out. And the batter will be Andre Ethier. Mike Harkey, who pitched here for the Dodgers. Big Mike, a good 6'5", went to school at Cal State Fullerton. Watching his pitcher go through the pains of the early first innings. So Andre Ethier climbs in. He has 13 home runs, 45 RBIs, looking for the 300th double of his brilliant career. Andre hitting overall .294. Anderson ready. Right-handed deals, and the pitch drops in from above for a strike. Beautiful evening. 79 degrees at the start of the game. With that home run by Utley, the Dodgers have 7 leadoff home runs this year. It was the first one for Utley's career. Here's the strike 1 pitch. Ethier, a line drive down the right field line, foul. Nice catch down there by the ball girl. Boy, she knew what she was doing. Way to go. She must be a switch hitter because she's wearing a switch hitter's helmet. Both ears are safely covered, and she got that big outfield glove, the kind that A.J. Pollock has. Good for you, young lady. 0-2 the count to Ethier. Anderson comes back and bounces it in the dirt. 1-2 the count. So Ethier checking in against Chase Anderson. Anderson better on the road as far as wins and losses, a little bit better in earned run average. Not quite as good second half of the season. Meanwhile, Ethier sets back in. Anderson looks down the barrel to get a sign. Dodgers lead 1-0, home run by Chase Utley on the first pitch of the game. 1-2 pitch way outside of the strike zone, and Ethier guesses and strikes out. So that wasn't close to the strike zone, but Andre was thinking and decided to go after it, and it just ran away from him. So we have 2 down. Ethier goes back empty-handed, and the batter now is Yasmani Grandal. Last night, A.J. Ellis caught. The night before, Grandal caught and hit his first home run of the year right-handed. He has 16 and takes low, ball 1. 1-0. Anderson has not done well with other Western teams. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Grandal takes outside, ball 2. Anderson is 2-4 against the West, an earned run average over 5. The last game he pitched was on the 8th against the Giants. He faced 12 batters, and they racked him for 5 runs in 2 innings. So Gonzalez visiting with Paul Goldschmidt over at first. 2 down, first inning. Big slow curveball at 78 breaks in for a strike. Chase Anderson working now on Yasmani Grandal. Right-hander looks over at first, back to Grandal, gets a strike. 2-2. So Chase Utley, for the first time in his career, walks up and hits the first pitch of the game for a home run. One of the 7 leadoff home runs hit by the Dodgers. 2-2 the count. Anderson ready. Right-hander comes back and it's low, so he goes 3-2. Chase's father, Robert Anderson, never got to see his son pitch in the major leagues. But in one way or another, he's out there on the mound with Chase. Before every game, before every start, he draws his dad's initials in the dirt at the back of the mound, along with the initials of his 2 grandmothers, who have also passed away. 3-2 the count. There goes the runner Gonzalez, and a high fly ball. It's a fly ball and it's high, but that's about all. And coming over in Ciarte to make the catch. So the Dodgers settle for 1. Chase Utley walks up to lead off the game, and on the first pitch he buries it over the wall, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. Paul Goldschmidt will start it off, followed by David Peralta and then Jared Saltalamacchia. Paul Goldschmidt now has 7 home runs against the Dodgers this year. That's the most by any Dodger opponent in a season till you go back to 2004. And the first pitch to him is swung on and a high drive into right center. Back goes Peterson. He's going to watch that go out and make it. Goldschmidt has 8 home runs against the Dodgers. Vinny Castilla and Barry Bonds each hit 8 back in 2004. Back in 1956, the record of 13 home runs by a Dodger opponent was set by Milwaukee's first baseman Joe Adcock when the Dodgers played in Ebbets Field. So it didn't take Goldie long to register as he hits it out. Peterson just watches. He didn't bother jumping because it was 5 rows back in. So a 1-1 tie, second inning, and the pitch in for a strike now to David Peralta. Peralta the other night came into the game, had 2 hits, stole 2 bases. Goldschmidt last night had a home run and a single. And Goldschmidt had a home run in game 1. Long fly ball to left. Van Slyke on the track makes the catch. And we have one down. So for Paul Goldschmidt, as usual, wearing out the Dodgers. And he's hit 3 home runs in the 3 series. Carlos Frias in a 1-1 tie. And the batter, they call him Salty. You can understand why. Jared Saltalamacchia, 14 letters in his last name. So we've had 2 first pitch home runs. Utley hit the first pitch for a home run. Goldschmidt hit the first pitch for a home run. Utley is not quite as successful as Goldie, however, on that first pitch. First one to Saltalamacchia inside, ball 1. Paul Goldschmidt is hitting .448 with 7 home runs on the first pitch. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way, fouled off to the left. 1-1. So Saltalamacchia, Jake Lamb on deck. 1-1 tie, second inning. Giants are leading the Padres 2-0. Brandon Crawford, a 2-run double. Saltalamacchia, a high fly ball to shallow left. Rollins goes out, but Van Slyke has an easier play. So home run, then 2 fly balls, and the batter will be Jake Lamb. Carlos Frias, you have to remember, is making his first start with the Dodgers since June 30th. So that's 81 days since his last major league start. It's his 16th appearance. He's had 13 starts, 3 relievers. As we mentioned, the Dodgers have started 16 pitches. That's 2 more than last year. The batter now, the hitter Lamb, and takes a strike. Jake has a half a dozen home runs, 33 runs batted in. Left-hand batter, Brandon Drury on deck. Frias set, comes back 0-1. That's sprayed foul upstairs off to the left. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Frias pitched in May. He was 3-2. Then in June he was 1-3. And now he's back. Carlos from Nagua in the Dominican Republic. Right-handed delivers just inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Frias is 6'4", but he only weighs 170 pounds. He's really just starting out. He will be 26 in the middle of November. 1-2 the count. Frias delivers, misses, same spot. 2 balls, 2 strikes. By the way, the Braves defeated the Mets 6-3. Freddie Freeman hit a 3-run home run in the 9th inning to win it for Atlanta in New York. The Mets came off a road trip where they had won the last 7, turned around and lost 6 of 9 at home. The pitch in the dirt. So for the Dodgers, and remember the home field advantage, possible battle with New York. For the moment, the Dodgers have a 1-game edge on the Mets. They can make it 1.5 should they win this game. And should they win this game, the magic number would be 6, with a reminder the Giants are winning 2-0 in San Diego. Here's the 3-2 pitch on the way, swung on and missed. Down goes Lamb, and that will be that. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 swing of the bat by Paul Goldschmidt, and at the end of an inning and a half, a 1-1 tie. October 2nd, take your place on the field for a fireworks show featuring a salute to Hispanic Heritage Month. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. 1-1, bottom of the second. Paul Goldschmidt clears it after Utley did the same in the bottom of the first. So we go 1-1. Scott Van Slyke, followed by Jock Peterson, Jimmy Rollins, and the first pitch in for a strike. Van Slyke, half a dozen home runs, 29 runs batted in. Doing very well here at Dodger Stadium, hitting .302. Takes a look at a pitch low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chase Anderson, you may or may not remember, but last May he defeated Clayton Kershaw. The next pitch is swung on and missed. He got a lot of help from the top 3 in the lineup against Clayton. A.J. Pollock went 4 for 6. Chris Owings went 3 for 5, and Paul Goldschmidt went 4 for 5. Put that together and they beat Clayton. Meanwhile, Van Slyke chased on a changeup, goes down, 1 away. Of course, for Goldschmidt, he is not quite the best hitter to ever play here. He's getting close. If I had to guess, and I have no numbers in front of me, he's probably hitting about .363 here against the Dodgers. Roberto Clemente, the great right fielder for Pittsburgh, hit .377 here. 1 out, second inning. And the batter now, Jock Peterson. Jock, 25 home runs, 52 runs batted in, takes way inside, ball 1. Arizona loads up the right side. Outfield split. Pretty good gap in left center. The third baseman, Jake Lamb, way off the bag. And a 2-0 count now to Jock Peterson. The 2-0 pitch on the way. Anderson delivers and gets an off-speed pitch in there for a strike. Anderson giving up the home run to Utley. First inning home runs allowed by starting pitchers. Kyle Lohse has given up 10. Kyle Kendrick 9. And the pitch fouled off. Peterson trying to bunt his way aboard. And the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now, we mentioned Yogi Berra at the start of the night. We'll just drop in a couple of things about what kind of a player he was. 2-2, fouled away. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. In fact, check swing, so it looks like 3-2. Paul Goldschmidt is now hitting .367. He has 13 home runs at Dodger Stadium in 35 games. He is really one all-around player. 3-2 pitch swung on. Fly ball into shallow right. Backing out is Drury to make the catch in front of Inciarte. And we have 2 down in the second inning, and Jimmy Rollins coming up.
Shortstop, number 11, Jimmy Rollins.
They're talking about Yogi. You know, he never struck out more than 38 times in a season. He averaged 20 home runs a year and 24 strikeouts a year. And then, of course, there was 1950. 1950, he was unbelievable. Rollins fouls it back. That was the year the Dodgers and the Phillies went right down to the wire to the last game. Robin Roberts beat Don Newcomb. The Phillies with Jim Constanti and the Whiz Kids went into the World Series against the Yankees, and Yogi unwhizzed them. Tell you what Yogi did in that 1950 season. He had 28 home runs, 124 runs batted in, and are you ready? He struck out 12 times. 12. I mean, guys today strike out 12 times during the anthem. 12 times in an entire year. Yogi Berra. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Jimmy Rollins. Slap foul off third, lower deck. 2-2 the count. Tomorrow at noon, it'll be Clayton Kershaw's turn to go to the mound. Patrick Corbin will be on the hill for Arizona. 2-2 pitch on the way. Poked again, foul. Though Rollins staying up there protecting the outside part of the plate, just chipping them foul. Corbin on the mound is 6-4. Earned run average a little under 3. Should be a good one. Now the 2-2 pitch on the way. Fastball on the hands, foul back. Anderson a good 94 miles an hour. For Chase Anderson, his fastball clocked as high as 94. He has a slider, curveball. They say his best pitch is his changeup. 2-2 pitch on the way. Anderson delivers just off the plate with the change, and a 3-2 count. Rollins 13 home runs, 41 runs batted in. Carlos Frias on deck. 3-2 pitch way inside, ball 4. And certainly one thing that really irritates a pitcher is to get 2 outs and then walk the number 8 hitter. That way the opposition gets the pitcher up there, and if he makes out, okay, they start the next inning with the leadoff man. You would love to start every inning against the pitcher. So Rollins at first with the stolen base. Second walk given up by Chase Anderson. We're 1-1, bottom of the second inning. Right-handed fastball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Anderson was a 9th round pick 6 years ago out of the University of Oklahoma. Here's the strike 1 pitch on the way. Chase delivers, bunted in the air, and Anderson catches it, and that's that. So no runs, a walk, a bunt for an out, and that's that. And at the end of 2, we have a 1-1 tie. I will repeat, the Mets lost to Atlanta. The Dodgers could pick up a game in the battle for the home field advantage, and that could be very important. Whether the Giants win or lose, the Dodgers can pick up a game by winning and reduce the magic number to 6. The Giants, meanwhile, having won 10 of the last 15, are leading 2-0 against the Padres. Giants, for the moment, 6 back. Oh, yeah, I remember 1951 very, very well, when the Dodgers led by 13.5 games in August, and the Giants nailed them and went on to the World Series. I certainly remember the Philadelphia Phillies with Gene Mauch growing older every day. Phillies had a 6-game lead with 12 games left and blew it. Well, the Dodgers have a 6-game lead. They have 1 left with Arizona, 3 with Colorado, 4 with the Giants, and 3 with San Diego. Meanwhile, Brandon Drury is up there with a no-ball 2-strike count. Drury last night had a single and a home run in that riotous 9th inning. And in the first game, he had a single, a double, and yet another single. So he's had a big series. Brandon Drury. Right-hand batter chases a pitch, and down he goes. The 2 strikeouts in a row now for Carlos Frias.
Pitcher number 57, Chase Anderson.
Chase Anderson, the pitcher, coming up. He was originally drafted by the Minnesota Twins twice, at a high school, then again at a junior college, but instead he went to Oklahoma. Fastball, little high, ball 1, 1-0 the count. 1 run, 1 hit for each side. Home run. Home run by Goldschmidt, home run by Utley. 1-0 pitch on the way, in for a strike. 1-1. Carlos Frias, in his second major league start last year against Colorado, he yielded 10 hits while logging fewer than 3 outs. He had as bad an outing, I guess, as you could have, but he's improved. He's experienced over it. He was pulled in the first inning that day in Colorado, having allowed 8 runs. 1-2. Hit late and foul off to the right of the plate, and still 1-2. I think a lot of times an athlete will tell you they learn more in a defeat than they do in victory. You got to learn something that bright, shiny afternoon in Colorado. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Frias, top of the third in a 1-1 tie. Chopper to Gonzalez. He'll hang it to Frias coming over. And we have 2 down here in the 3rd inning. Final game of the series with Arizona. Dodgers have had their way. Remember, they had beaten Arizona 6 straight here this year, 9 straight here going back to last year, and then they lost their first 2 games of the series. And I mean, they lost. They were walloped 8-4 in the first game on 17 hits, and the D-backs came right back last night to beat them 8-0 on 11 hits, including 3 home runs. So the Dodgers will say adieu to Arizona, and the Dodgers then go on to Colorado, San Francisco, San Diego. The pitch at the plate, high and inside to Inciarte. Ender flied to left field in the first inning. Appeared briefly last night and had a single. A great drag bunt single it was. The 1-0 pitch in at the knees, ball 2. Inciarte in the first game had a double. We've often mentioned during the previous broadcast, Arizona does not have trouble scoring runs. They can pile them up. Offense, no problem. 2-0 pitch on the way, and that's a strike. The Diamondbacks entered tonight with 4 hitters in the National League top 10. Pollock hitting .320, Goldschmidt .319, Peralta .312, and Inciarte .300. Only 8 teams since 1900 could say the same thing. So that's how effective they are offensively. Of course, the #1 hitter in the league right now, Bryce Harper, hitting .341 for Washington. But boy, they've got the wood. A.J. Pollock leaning on the railing, waiting to get up there. 2-2 the count to Ender Inciarte. Jammed on a good fastball at 96. Inciarte, who's from Maracaibo in Venezuela. 5'11", 160. Takes in the dirt. In fact, Ender Inciarte earlier in the year was hitting .367 against the Dodgers. Here's the 3-2 pitch on the way. Swung on, fouled at the plate. Ender's full name, using the Spanish naming customs, the first or paternal family name, Inciarte, the second or maternal family name, Montiel. So his full name is Ender David Inciarte Montiel. 3-2 the count. Frias reading Grandal. Now the slender right-hander delivers 3-2, and it's hit foul outside of first and down the line. Inciarte, although he was signed by the Diamondbacks, Inciarte wound up as a free agent and eventually popped up with the Phillies. Then the Diamonds reclaimed him. Hitting .300, 4 home runs, 42 runs batted in. The next one swung on, fly ball to right field. Ethier has to come a bit to get over there, but he's there now to make the catch. So down go Arizona. 1, 2, 3, 6 in a row retired since the home run in a 1-1 tie. Corey Seager and Adrian Gonzalez. Utley hit the first pitch for a home run to open up the bottom of the first inning. And then Paul Goldschmidt hit the first pitch to open up the top of the second. And that's where we are, a 1-1 tie. Loading up the right side of the infield. And the first pitch to Utley in for a strike, and the count 0-1. I was looking down at Saldo LaMacchia putting on the mask, and all of a sudden they had a picture of Yogi Berra. I think every now and then it'll pop up for a while. Strike one pitch, waved at and missed, off speed. Everybody loved Yogi. However, there was a night in Kansas City where they had themselves a brawl. 0-2 the count. Utley waiting, and the next pitch, low ball one. A lot of punches were thrown. A lot of pictures were taken of the battle, and at the end of it, you noticed in all of the pictures, Yogi was wearing his mask, and they thought he was dumb. 1-2 the count to Utley. Yeah, that thing can be used besides foul balls. 1-2 pitch, a little low. 2-2 the count to Chase. Chase Utley, Chase Anderson, and the chase is on. A 1-1 tie in the third. Anderson rocks and turns, comes right back low and inside. So Utley showing a lot of patience. After hitting the first pitch for a home run, he goes all the way 3-2 in his second at bat, and Corey Seager waits on deck. Anderson ready, and the right-hander delivers, swung on and missed. So Utley rides the elevator from the penthouse home run to the basement with a strikeout. And we have one down in the third inning. That would be the third strikeout for Chase Anderson. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. He's now made 46 pitches. In fact, he made 20 pitches in each of the first 2 innings. Seager swings, fouls it back. 0-1. Dodgers are trying to avoid matching their longest losing streak of the year. They lost 5 in a row back in August on the 18th to the 23rd. That led to the quote from Clayton Kershaw, "I hope we're panicking a little bit." The 1-1 pitch misses, ball 2, 2-1. Dodgers got a jolt tonight when they found out Zach Greinke couldn't pitch. He is supposed to pitch Monday in San Francisco. 2-1 pitch. Popped up. Saltalamacchia coming back, gets rid of the mask. Here comes his third baseman, and they bump together. Jake Lamb running into the back of Saltalamacchia, so that's a big break for Corey Seager. Oh, look, here comes Lamb, and there's Saltalamacchia. So Jake was so interested in the ball, he didn't look ahead because Salty was going to catch it, but he took a lick. Although, let's see, you know, the collision, it looked like the ball was coming out of Saltalamacchia's mitt before the collision, so he might not have caught it. Another foul ball. So for Jake Lamb, they'll probably tell him, "Hey kid, don't feel so badly." Saltalamacchia is going to be charged with an error, and that's a very good call. Salt in the wounds for Jared, and a 2-ball, 2-strike to Corey Seager. Anderson delivers, high fastball, gets him swinging, and down he goes. That's 4 strikeouts. And Chase Anderson now working on Adrian Gonzalez. 1-1 tie, bottom of the third, 2 out, bases empty. Adrian settling into the box. Been on base a lot, not just playing first base. Been on base 31 of the last 35 games. He's had a little bit of a sore back, and every now and then Mattingly will rest him, but they can't let him stay out of the lineup. He means too much. 28 home runs, 87 runs batted in, and takes a pitch low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Justin Turner, well, he has tendinitis and a bone bruise. Justin said he expects to play, quote, in a couple of days. 1-1 pitch, foul back, 1-2. Paul Goldschmidt hit a home run tonight. That's not news in Arizona, but it means he's hit 31, and I'll tell you why that's important in a moment. 1-2. Adrian takes off the plate. Goldie becomes the 4th player in Diamondback history with multiple 30 home run seasons, this year and 2 years ago, joining Steve Finley, Luis Gonzalez, and Mark Reynolds. 2-2 pitch, chased and missed. So Adrian fooled, looks back at Anderson, and for Chase Anderson, he strikes out the side. That gives him 5. And at the end of 3, we have a 1. Well, hello. The 2015 Jeep Cherokee. With an EPA estimated 31 highway MPG, it's the perfect choice. Visit Jeep.com today. Fourth inning, a 1-1 tie. Good ball game. Carlos Frias and Chase Anderson. It'll be Chris Owings, A.J. Pollock, and Paul Goldschmidt. First ball, chopper to third. Seager is on it. Finally got a chance, and we have one away. For the Dodgers, they're going to be watching Frias carefully. A.J. Pollock checking in, popped up 0 for 1, hitting .320, and then Paul Goldschmidt. Pollock, the pride of Notre Dame. That's off the plate, ball one. So Frias doing well, not just one hit. That was the home run by Goldschmidt. Pollock's from Hebron, Connecticut. Went to Notre Dame, as we said. Hits a hopper to the right side to Utley. 2 down. Paul Goldschmidt continues to wear the Dodgers out. And what he has going for him now, he has homered in 4 straight games, starting in June the 10th against the Dodgers. Goldschmidt, 31 home runs, 103 runs batted in. We mentioned hitting .367 at Dodger Stadium. 0-1. You know, only 6 first basemen in Major League history have had a season of 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 20 stolen bases. You're looking at him, Paul Goldschmidt. Chopper to shortstop. Rollins, nice big hop. Jimmy making his first start at shortstop since September the 11th. Only took 5 pitches for Frias to retire the side, and look at those little darlings having a ball and a 1-1 tie inside. Fiesta, Viva Las Doyas. There'll be food, music, autographs, on-stage interviews, games, and fun for the entire family. All starting at 2 p.m. Brought to you by Coca-Cola, Time Warner Cable, and State Farm. So for tickets, go to Dodgers.com. Viva. Bottom of the 4th. Anderson struck out the side in the 3rd, nailing Utley, Seager, and Gonzalez. Now he gets Ethier, whom he struck out, followed by Grandal and Van Slyke. 0-1. Ethier, remember, striking out, chasing a bad ball in the first inning. Andre doing a great job for the Dodgers in right field. We saw Yasiel Puig running in the infield, but that's all we know about him as to whether he will play soon or not at all this year. Nobody really knows. And that pitch looked like it's out of the strike zone. So Andre a little bit confused as far as Chase Anderson is concerned, but he's got company. Anderson has struck out 4 in a row and 6 so far in 3 1/3 innings. Here's Grandal, flied to right. So Ethier twice, Utley, Seager, and Gonzalez are the strikeouts, and Van Slyke. Ball 1. Grandal fly ball to shallow right field in the first inning. Off speed pitch, but misses. 2-0. Grandal 16 home runs, 47 runs batted in, 15 of them as a left-hand batter. Foul back. Clayton Kershaw and Patrick Corbin tomorrow. Join us for lunch. Drops that curveball in there. 2-2. Dodgers trying to win their 86th game. Arizona trying to win number 74. 2-2. Off speed, hit down the left field line, foul, back in the stands. 2-2. Boy, it is hard to believe, isn't it? I'm sure you hear it all the time. My goodness, how time has flown. Dodgers have 4 more home games. Well, Anderson seems to be mesmerizing the Dodger hitters. That's 5 consecutive strikeouts to give him 7. And Scott Van Slyke coming up. So the boy from Texas who grew up at the University of Oklahoma, charming the Dodgers right now in a 1-1 tie. He'd retired 6 in a row since the walk to Jimmy Rollins. Foul back. Oh, and 1. We have a 1-1 tie in case you missed it. Utley led off the game, hit the first pitch for a home run, and then Paul Goldschmidt came up in the second inning and hit the first pitch for a home run. So that's where we are. 1-1 to Scott Van Slyke. Giants are winning in San Diego. Brandon Crawford had doubled in a couple, and just as important, the Mets lost. Chopper to third. On it is Jake Lamb, makes the play. So another nice inning, 7 in a row retired by Chase Anderson. Frias had retired 9 in a row, and we're heading for the 5th in a 1-1 tie. And the scenes, Hyun-Jin Ryu rehabs from season-ending shoulder surgery, plus the Dodgers give a special honor to longtime coach John Shoemaker here at Dodger Stadium. So don't miss Backstage Dodgers tomorrow at 7 on Sportsnet LA. Well, Carlos Frias gave the Dodgers more than they could have expected for somebody who hadn't pitched in so long, the end of June. Frias went 4 innings, allowed 1 run, home run to Paul Goldschmidt, retired 9 in a row while striking out 2. So now Ian Thomas tries to pick up the load and give the Dodgers a couple of innings. The left-hander is from Virginia Beach, originally drafted by the Braves. Ian is 6'4", 210, 28 years old. Time for the moment. Somebody in the Dodger dugout said, "Hold it." He was looking at the clock in center field. And now play is ready. David Peralta flied to left field in the 2nd inning. As a look at the strike, Dodgers load up the right side. Peralta, once upon a time, was a pitcher. And a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Ian Thomas locked in here in a 1-1 tie. Big game for the Dodgers to psychologically snap a losing streak as well as get a little better in the standings. 1-2. So Thomas trying to do exactly the job that Frias did, even better than expected. 1-ball, 2 strikes. Peralta pitched 3 years in the Cardinal organization. Had problems. He was a left-handed pitcher at the age of 17, but he was released 4 years and 2 labrum surgeries. Went back to Venezuela. Figured I'll start all over again as an outfielder. And here he is. Down he goes. So that's 10 in a row going down for the D-backs. Strikeout number 1 for Thomas. And the batter will be Saltalamacchia. Saltalamacchia flied to left field, 0 for 1, hitting .217. We mentioned the story last night because you can just picture it in your head. I mean, Saltalamacchia, just looking at him, you know he's a big man. He's 6'4" and he weighs 235. And as a first-year player, there comes a time on a road trip when all the rookies have to wear outlandish costumes, from the ballpark to the bus to the airplane and to the hotel at the other end, the destination. Saltalamacchia, and he first came up with the Braves. Now picture him, he's 6'4", 235 pounds. He had to wear a huge diaper, a derby hat, and a cigar. Watch him walk through an airport. Baby Huey. "30 years old. First came up with the Braves 8 years ago. Played with the Rangers. Had a good career with the Red Sox. And now here he is with Arizona. Fastball whacked to center. Here comes Peterson, rolls over, and no catch. No catch. Our thanks to second base umpire Bob Davidson, who hustled out there to make sure, because up here you couldn't tell, and Peterson wasn't going to tell you. Here he comes. What he does, he's this close, but then rolls over, holding it up as if he caught it. But Bob Davidson was right out there to spot it. So it's a 1-out single for Saltalamacchia. And the batter now, Jake Lamb. Hit number 1 off Thomas. That's only the 3rd hit in the game. Arizona has 2. Dodgers have 1. Each team with a home run. One top of the 5th. A shot up the middle for a base hit. Saltalamacchia holding at second. And the batter will be Brandon Drury. So Jake Lamb didn't hang around long. Just walks up, slaps it up the middle.
Drury.
So Brandon Drury, who has had a very good series coming up. Drury struck out in the 3rd inning. Now he's facing a different pitcher. Struck out against Frias, the right-hander. Now he'll check in against Thomas, the left-hander. 2 on, 1 out, 1-1 in the 5th. Changeup in for a strike. I don't know if it was so obvious down there, but sitting up here, I mean, he just stopped his arm motion. That was a cinch to see changeup. The trick is to throw the changeup the same way you throw your fastball, and that is one mean trick. 0-1. Ground ball wide to third. Seager down to second. Utley to first. Double play. So Seager did the job. He's able to hit a second baseman on the move and around the horn. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left. And at the end of 4 1/2, a 1-1 tie. In California Toyota dealers. The time is short, but the savings are big at Toyota's clearance countdown going on now. 1-1 tie, bottom of the 5th inning. For the Dodgers, it'll be Peterson, Rollins, and Ian Thomas. Chase Anderson, part of the story tonight. Anderson so far has struck out 7. His strikeout high is 8, and he's done that 4 times last year. So Chase very much on his game, and he'll be facing Peterson, who popped up in the 2nd inning. Brian Hagan, who does an incredible job of digging up nuggets, baseball notes, came up with one just now, inspired by Chase Utley's home run, leading off the game. Peterson fouls it away. So the Dodgers now the first team in Major League history with 4 different players to hit a leadoff home run in the same month. Scott Schebler in Anaheim, Justin Ruggiano in Anaheim, Carl Crawford in Arizona, and Utley tonight. 0-1. And another strike. Down in the Dodger bullpen, with everybody trying to carry the load tonight since Greinke could not start, Pedro Baez, a hard worker, tuning up. Peterson takes in the dirt. It kicks off. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So there is strikeout number 8 for Chase Anderson. Peterson checking with the plate umpire. Did I swing at a strike? And the answer he got was yes. So 8 strikeouts for Chase Anderson. Struck out 5 in a row. And Jimmy Rollins checking in, walked in the 2nd inning. But Jimmy first start since the 11th of September in Arizona. What did the Dodgers do while he was out? Treadmill. 5 wins, 5 losses. Jimmy has started 122 games this year, add 1 tonight. The Dodgers are 72-50 in games where he has started, and they're a break-even 15-15 without him. So you look at his lineup and you say, well, he's not doing very much, hitting .219. Oh, no. He has been a vital player. 13 home runs, 41 runs batted in. And right at the second baseman, Brandon Drury. And we have 2 down in the 5th inning. And the batter was supposed to be Ian Thomas, but instead Alex Guerrero is coming up. So Guerrero hits for Thomas, and Baez will pick up the pitching in the 6th inning. Guerrero really got caught in a high twister last night. Big high pop fly back a third down the line, and the ball looked like it was going to be foul all the way. And for Alex Guerrero, darned if it didn't rub fair. Hitting .234, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in. Surrendering the third base role tonight to Corey Seager. Fastball, cracked bat, ground ball to third. Jake Lamb, and that's that. Though the Dodgers are not wasting any time, and that's 10 in a row retired by Chase in a 1-1 tie.
Maury Wills had a big night, stole number 96 and number 97 to break Ty Cobb's record. As you may or may not know, Maury went on to steal 104 bases. However, in that game going down to the nose wire with the Giants, the Dodgers lost 12-2. You know, two of the pitchers who lost that game that night? Only Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax. Yep. And, of course, the Giants went on to the World Series. And with that, let's go back to this one.
One tie. It's been that way since the top of the second inning. Frias, Thomas, and now Baez. Baez worked in the first game of the series. So he's a hard-working right-hander who throws very hard. And a strike. Baez in his 47th game. Chase Anderson, the pitcher, grounded out back in the third inning. Then you get Inciarte and Owens. That's a little low. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Chase having a great night, struck out 8. He made 1 pitch to lead off the game. Utley hit a home run, and we had just finished telling you about everything that happened to Anderson in the first inning. Ball 2, 2-1. He has allowed 7 home runs in the first inning, and he's allowed 20 home runs in the first inning. And then he just settles down. Seems to me, and I don't have any numbers in front of me, when he first came up, Fernando had trouble in the first inning. And there was a lot of talk about, well, maybe he's not warming up properly, whatever. That's a strike. 2-2. Pedro Baez out of Boni in the Dominican Republic. He's 6'2" and 200, 27 years old. Dodgers signed him back in 2007. Whistled foul into the stands. 2 balls and 2 strikes. One tie, top of the 6th. Fastball got him. Down goes Anderson. So Frias had 2 strikeouts. Thomas had 1. And now Baez gets 1. Ender Inciarte flied to left, flied to right, 0 for 2. Remember, he had a great drag bunt single last night. The Dodgers certainly remember. Seager is in on the grass at third. Gonzalez very deep at first, which certainly makes you think about a drag bunt. Utley is deep, and Baez just came into the game. A lot of times it's a good time to test a pitcher. Oh no, full swing ground ball, base hit into right field. So Inciarte goes 1 for 3. That's the 4th hit for Arizona. Frias gave up 1. Thomas gave up 2. And now Baez a base hit. Chris Owings flied to right, grounded to third. Adrian Gonzalez over to talk to Baez. Inciarte does a lot of little things right. And one of the big things he does is steal bases. He has stolen 20. So in this kind of a game, Gonzalez over to remind Baez, hey, don't forget this guy can steal. As Owings checks in. Meanwhile, Grandal taking a look over in the Dodger dugout to see if there might be a pitch out in the works. We have a 1-1 tie, top of the 6th. Inciarte looks like he's ready to go. Ball 1. Well, Brian Hagan has done it again because he's an absolute wizard in bringing things up. Way back in the foggy recess of my mind, I remembered, I thought, that Fernando Valenzuela had trouble in the first inning. Wham! Brian Hagan goes in, pulls up the nugget. The highest inning earned run average for Fernando was the first inning. Over 4 runs an inning in the first. That's a strike, 1-1. Now, why would you remember such a thing? It shows you, what have I got inside my head that I can remember something like that and not remember this morning? Wow. Inciarte visiting with Gonzalez as he takes a short lead. Now he retreats Baez on and off the rubber. He's off the rubber right now. This is that most important pitch, the 1-ball, 1-strike count. It is a huge difference for the hitter, or let's put it this way, most hitters, if the count's 2-1 as opposed to 1-2. Huge. So a big pitch coming up from Pedro Baez. Randall saying, wait a minute, I haven't given a sign yet. He's checking over in the dugout now. He's going to carry that out to the mound. They are now in the 5th inning down south. Giants 2, Padres nothing. That's Jake Peavy's game. And remember, tomorrow, while Clayton Kershaw is pitching here, Madison Bumgarner will be pitching down there. Is the Giant Padre game a day game tomorrow or a night game? It's a night game. Okay. So they won't be competing really against each other. 1-1 to Chris Owings. He's been checking with Andy Green. A lot of checking going on. And they're all thinking about Inciarte. We have a 1-1 tie, 6th inning, 1 out. Inciarte goes back to the bag. That's Dave McKay, the first base coach. Message might be coming by way of Andy Green. That's why McKay got up on his toes to look over to third. 1-1. Inciarte's not going, and a fly ball into right center, but Peterson's going to pick it off, leaping in the air, and back to first goes Inciarte. That ball carried better, I think, than Jock thought. And where it looked like he had it all the way, suddenly he had to leap in the air. Nice play.
Center fielder A.J. Pollock.
Take another look at Peterson. Get up there. And up he goes. So 2 out. Now you think Inciarte will certainly try to go. But at the same time, one of the top hitters in the club, A.J. Pollock, 0 for 2 coming up. 0 for 2, however, that was against Frias. Two out, 6th inning, 1-1 tie. And a strike, 0-1. Pollock with 18 home runs, 70 runs batted in. Grandal reading Mattingly, worrying about Inciarte. Remember, the Dodgers have only 1 hit. That was the home run by Utley. And Inciarte back on the bag. Inciarte, as we said, has stolen 20. He has been caught 9 times. It's a question on what Chip Hale wants to do, because Pollock came into the game hitting .321, Do you want to gamble with Inciarte or stick with Pollock or both? 0-1 the count. Fastball, comebacker. That should be that. High throw, but Adrian keeps the toe on the bag. So Pollock, a comebacker, and you had a rabbit on the base, and Hale never had an opportunity to turn him loose. And at the end of 5.5 innings, a 1-1 tie. Arizona, a home run by Goldschmidt, and for the Dodgers, a home run by Chase Utley. The first pitch in the bottom of the first inning. Another near miss for a very frustrated A.J. Pollock. Throughout the series, he's got his glove on a couple of home runs. So Utley turned the Dodgers in the right direction. Goldschmidt immediately homered, and here we are now in the sixth. Utley, last time up, struck out and takes a strike. Chase Anderson has struck out 8. He has retired 10 in a row since he walked Jimmy Rollins back in the second inning. Hit off the end of the bat. That would run out of the pool hall. No balls and 2 strikes to Chase Utley. 80 pitches made by Chase. Wasted a few bullets, making 20 pitches in each of the first 2 innings, but he has settled down since. 0-2. Off speed, got him with a changeup. Whoa, great pitch. 9 strikeouts. That would be a career high for Chase Anderson.
Third baseman Corey Seager.
And that time, a little bit of a break on the ball, and the arm action was better. The straight changeup a little earlier, you could just about see it coming, but not that pitch. So Utley hits a home run and then strikes out twice. And here's Seager. Ball 1. And ball 2. In the Arizona bullpen, the right-hander Randall Delgado and the left-hander Matt Reynolds, whom we've seen in this series, they're both up and at 'em. 2-0 to Seager. 2-1. When Arizona comes up in the 7th inning, it'll be Paul Goldschmidt, David Peralta, and Jared Saltalamacchia. 2-2. got him away. Bad ball. So some of the Dodger hitters have really been fooled on the location, chasing some pitches, and certainly Andre Ethier could attest to that. So that's 10 strikeouts for Chase Anderson. And here's Adrian Gonzalez, who walked and struck out. The only two who have not struck out, Jimmy Rollins has walked and lined out, and the pitcher, Frias, popped a bunt up, and Guerrero, as a pinch hitter, grounded out. Everybody else has struck out at least once. Oh and 1. Away. Dodgers trying to snap a 4-game losing streak against a team that really pushed around, Arizona. Luis Avilan, the left-hander, begins to warm up in the Dodger bullpen. Frias, Thomas, and now Baez. And another off-speed pitch, more importantly, way out of the strike zone. He has made some remarkable foolish pitches, and the Dodger hitters have been mesmerized and chased them. 2-2. And that's going to go foul down the line. Interesting note when you think about his career. Chase Utley has started 1,492 games, including tonight. He's played in 1,576. Tonight, it's only the 10th time where he's the leadoff hitter. High fly ball to center and deep. Back goes Pollock on the track, and this time will make the catch. So Anderson lets go a sigh of relief. Gonzalez frustrated. Feels like the fisherman who let one get away. And at the end of 6, a 1-1 tie.
Brought to you by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter.
Boy, do we have a good ball game here. 1-1 in the 7th inning. The Dodgers with 1 hit. Youngster with his 2 Dodger dolls and a little doll sitting next to him. And Pedro Baez going to work against Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie homered. He has homered in 4 straight games at Dodger Stadium. Last time up, grounded to short. Goldschmidt, a big man from a little state. He's from Delaware. 6'3", 245 pounds, but he lives in Arizona now. That's a strike. So he's in a hole 0-2. Goldie went to Texas State University, and the thing that drives the Dodgers crazy, not that he wears them out, but they drafted him, and he passed them up. Instead, he went back to Texas State. 0-2. Interesting how he hangs the end of the bat almost facing the ground over his shoulder, and then able to get it back up and ready to swing. Straight up and down you go. And down he goes. So second strikeout for Baez. 5 D-backs have struck out. 10 Dodgers have struck out. That fastball by Baez was clocked at 100 miles an hour. Now that David Peralta, the left-hander, is coming up, the Dodgers might very well be going to the bullpen. They had Avilan down there, and that's what they're going to do. So every man in the bullpen going to take a piece of this game. And with 1 out, 7th inning and a 1-1 tie, here comes Avilan, and we'll be back. To warm up, a chance to look at the calendar, and boy, it is starting to disappear. 1 game tomorrow here, and that'll be a dandy. It will be Clayton Kershaw and Patrick Corbin. Dodgers then hit the road for their last road trip of the regular season. 3 in Colorado, 4 in San Francisco, and after all of that, they'll come home for the final 3 regular season games on the weekend. Friday the 2nd, Saturday the 3rd, and Sunday the 4th. By the way, in looking back over the game as Avilan is about ready, Chase Anderson has tied the Diamondbacks single game strikeout high. He has struck out 10 Dodgers. Patrick Corbin did that in July against Milwaukee. All right, Avilan ready to work in the Dodger bullpen. His place in the bullpen now is taken over by Juan Nicasio. Foul ball out of play, 0-1. David Peralta flied to left in the 2nd inning, struck out leading the 5th. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 7th, they'll have Ethier, Grandal, and Van Slyke. And they have struck out 4 times amongst them. On the hands, right where Gonzalez was stationed. Getting late in the game, he wants to defend the line against an extra base hit, and a bullet right at him for the 2nd out.
Catcher Jared Saltalamacchia.
Now here comes Salty. Fly to left, single to center, a switch hitter who'll turn around to bat right-handed. Lamacchia, his numbers say he's a far better hitter right-handed, hitting .303 from this side. He has 8 home runs, 3 of the 8 hit right-handed. And a strike. The Luis Avilan out of Caracas, Venezuela, signed with the Braves at the tender age of 16. He's now 26. Bad ball. Salty after it. 0-2. Had quite a few hitters going after bad pitches tonight, and a lot of very good pitches made by the men who throw them. 0-2. One and two. Another left-hand hitter on deck, Jake Lamb. Jake 1 for 2. Two and two. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 1-1 tie, 7th inning. Fastball. So the Mets lost 6-3 to Atlanta. Freddie Freeman beat them. Should the Dodgers win this game, they'd then be out in front of the Mets, game and a half. Home field advantage. Way out in front. Off speed. Saltalamacchia is fooled. So Frias had 2 strikeouts. Thomas had 1. Baez has 2. And now Avilan 1. And we're wondering now about Chase Anderson. A brilliant 6 innings, and he's done. So at the end of 6.5. Bottom of the 7th inning in a 1-1 tie for the Dodgers. Frias, Thomas, Baez, and Avilan. And now for Arizona, a great 6 innings by Chase Anderson, and they now give the ball to Randall Delgado. For Delgado, he's from Panama. He's big enough, 6'3", 200, only 25 years old, and originally drafted by the Braves. Fastball strike, Andre Ethier. Ethier had a lot of trouble against Chase Anderson, but then again everybody did. Chase struck out 10 in a brilliant 6 innings. Foul ball. As we mentioned, Anderson tied the Diamondbacks single game strikeout high with 10. Patrick Corbin had 10 against Milwaukee in July. Strike 2 pitch in the dirt. The Giants are winning 2-0 in the 6th inning. Interesting for Jake Peavy, formerly of course a bright star for San Diego. It's only the 2nd time he ever made a start in San Diego as a visitor. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Ethier, chased and missed. So Andres had a bad night with the strike zone. He went after a pitch away from the plate, went after a pitch high out of the strike zone, and goes down again on a pitch low. One of those nights. Strikeout number 1 for Delgado. It means 11 Dodgers have struck out. Now Grandal flied to right and struck out 0 for 2. In the Dodger bullpen, a team effort by the bullpen. So Chris Hatcher begins to warm up. Frias, Thomas, Baez, Avilan, and soon Hatcher. Dodgers trying not to win as much as whittle that magic number down to 6. And to pick up ground against the Mets. That's a strike. Avilan made 8 pitches, coming in to get Peralta and Saltalamacchia. Two and one. Fastball missed down and away. Delgado, 4-seam fastball, 2-seamer that sinks, curveball, and a change. 3-1. Way off the plate. The Grandal gets a 1-out walk. For the Dodgers, they finally get a runner. Outside of the home run by Utley, the only runner the Dodgers have had tonight was Jimmy Rollins, who walked in the 2nd inning. Now here in the bottom of the 7th, a 1-out walk. Van Slyke the batter, and Peterson on deck. Van Slyke was coming up to the plate. He turned, went back to the dugout. Let's see. Carl Crawford, they told us, had a sore shoulder so that he couldn't start. And Crawford will be coming up to hit. Carl batting .261, 4 home runs, 15 runs batted in. And he'll be hitting for Van Slyke.
It's hitting for the Dodgers, number 3, Carl Crawford.
So 14 Dodgers were retired in order. A 1-out walk to Grandal, and Carl Crawford bats with Peterson on deck. High fly ball slicing down the line. Peralta in pursuit and drops it. He dropped it before he went to the wall, and hopefully he'll be okay. That's all concrete down there. Take your time, David. Chip Hale going to run all the way down the line, see if his left field is okay. Wonderful effort, but he's going to drop the ball before he hits the wall. I mean, he's got it there, and then he hit the wall. More painful for him to drop the ball, I'm sure. Well, that should have been a big out. Instead, it is not. Then he takes the header. Boy, in real time, you realize it was quite a jolt. And Peralta probably more annoyed. Yeah, he's picked off that he dropped the ball. Never mind hitting the fence. They have not flashed error. It would have been a very difficult play. All right, the skipper Hale is back in the dugout. Crawford, fortunately, still up there at the plate. 0-1 the count. A 1-1 tie in the seventh. Dodgers playing knowing the Giants are leading 2-0 in their game in San Diego. Foul ball, 0-2. Dodgers trying to get something started. They got a walk, and then 14 outs later, they got another walk. Crawford, 4 home runs, 15 RBIs. Last 2 weeks, he's hit very well. 1 and 2. In fact, for a good 30 some odd games, he's hitting close to 300. And at home, he's hit 385. So he's up there in a big spot. 1 out, 7th inning, 1-1 tie. Peterson on deck. In the dirt, nice save by Saltalamacchia. That runs it 2-2. What a great game turned in by Chase Anderson. 6 innings. Chase gave up 1 run, 1 hit, struck out 10. Change way off the plate. So Chase Anderson, a very tough act to follow. I mean, he was magnificent. Now Delgado struggling. Got Ethier on a bad ball. Walks Grandal. Got a tough break when Peralta couldn't hold on to the foul ball. Well, let's see. 3-2. Got him. So Crawford strikes out. 12 Dodgers have struck out.
Center fielder, Jock Peterson.
Way out in front of it. So Jock Peterson coming up. Peterson has popped up and struck out. So for Carl Crawford, who was hitting better than 300 in the month of September, they get him out twice. Missed on the drop foul ball, so they strike him out. Now big Mike Harkey going out to talk to Delgado about Peterson. And you have Jimmy Rollins, the switch hitter, on deck. Peterson has popped up and struck out. Rollins has walked and lined out. All right, Harkey has talked to Delgado.
I can't hear you, Dodger fans. Make some noise!
Dodgers with Grandal at first. 2 out in the 7th. A 1-1 tie. Lamb, Drury, and the pitcher spot will be due up in the 8th inning for Arizona. Boy, he starts him with a fastball. 0-1. Delgado was 6-4 for the year. A.J. Ellis kind of stirring around. It might be Dodgers are thinking if somehow they get Grandal to second, they'd put a runner in, and they would still have A.J. Ellis ready along with Austin Barnes, but that's looking far ahead. 1-1. High fly ball, but it's playable. Pollock and Inciarte. Pollock's the captain. That'll be that. So the Dodgers get a walk and lead Grandal. And we are heading for the 8th inning in quite a duel. A 1-1 tie. Your stadium, so get your tickets for baseball and some fantastic prizes like a Mercedes-Benz C-Class, maybe the Dodger ground crew to check out your lawn. There's so many wonderful details. So to find out what's being given away, visit Dodgers.com/Fan Appreciation Day. And our thumb sucker is here. Welcome again. Oh, the thumb sucker's thumb may look wrinkled and wet and withered and white as snow. But the taste of a thumb has the sweetest taste yet, as only we thumb suckers know. My dear, welcome to your first game. Chris Heisey takes over in left field. We go to the 8th inning, and we have a 1-1 tie. Tough ball game, especially when you consider what's at stake. So Luis Avilan working on Jake Lamb, Brandon Drury, and then we'll see about Delgado, and that's ball one. Mr. and Mrs. James Mims. James, a wonderful man in charge of the press box, celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary tonight. They were here for a minute with their two little granddaughters. 1-1. Lamb struck out back in the second inning. Arizona looked like they had something going with one out in the fifth. Saw the LaMacchia singled and Lamb singled, but Brandon Drury banged into a double play. 1-1. Fastball missed inside. Frias, Thomas, Baez, and Avilan. Avilan came in the seventh inning to get Peralta and Salto LaMacchia. 3-1. Lamb, good young ball player. He's from Seattle, went to the University of Washington, He's 24. He'll be 25 in October. 3-2. Jake was a 6th round pick out of college, just 2012. I mean, he's up here after they have already been up last year. So he's arrived on the scene in a hurry. Three and two to Jake. And pulled foul. Lamb broke in with a base hit to drive in a run in his major league debut last year with Arizona. Hit his first major league home run last year in August. He hit 4. And a fly ball to left, very playable. Heisey is there. So 1 out in the 8th inning, and Brandon Drury coming up. Avilan has retired 3 in a row. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 8th inning, they'll have Jimmy Rollins and the pitcher's spot, because it looks like Avilan will be coming out and Chris Hatcher will be coming in. And there is Mattingly, as we mentioned way back at the start of the game, taking off the windbreaker to show number 8 in honor and in memory of Yogi Berra. We'll be right back.
Number 41, Chris Hatcher.
Brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Choose Nissan.com.
Chris Hatcher becomes the Dodgers' 5th pitcher. It's been Frias for 4, Thomas for 1, Baez for an inning and a third, Avilan for an inning, and now Hatcher with 1 out, 8th inning and a 1-1 tie. Aaron Hill, the veteran second baseman, is out on deck. So Hill waiting his turn. Brandon Drury struck out, hit into a double play. Ball 1. Drury's from Grants Pass up in Oregon, 13th round pick out of high school. Just turned 23. Little foul. Drury at his young age has already been defined as a baseball rat, meaning nobody outworks him. 6'2", 190. Playing second base tonight. Check swing foul. Drury played third base last night, third base the night before. Nick Ahmed made a great play last night, but he hurt his back, the shortstop. So Chris Owings moved over to short. And tonight, Owings playing short, and it's Drury at second, and Aaron Hill, the veteran second baseman, on deck. 1-2. 2-2. Hatcher sometimes delivers like a bowler, hoping for a strike in bowling. He'll freeze, he'll kind of twist his body as if he's looking down the alley and willing the ball to hit the pins. 2-2. Fastball, shallow fly right center. Easy play for Ethier. Throw 2 down. Now let's see. Aaron Hill has turned and gone back into the dugout. So we'll wait and see. Tomas has not played in a while, but it's Socrates Brito coming up. Yes, Socrates Brito. That's great. We had Archimedes here the other night. Socrates Oral Brito. He's from Azua in the Dominican Republic. Just called up. 6'2", 200. And just turned 23 2 weeks ago. And ball 1. Last year, Brito stole 38 out of 48. So we know he runs very well. This year in Mobile, he stole 20 out of 26. So speed's his thing. And a strike. 1-1. Brito 6'2", a very solid 200 pounds. He asked about his name Socrates, and his father said, "My father told me I was named after a guy that was smart." Okay. Big bouncer to the right side. Socrates does not need the cup of hemlock as he rolls out. And we're going to the bottom of the 8th in a 1-1 tie.
Tweet your photo for a chance to be shown in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile.
1-1 tie, bottom of the 8th inning. Howie Kendrick will be batting as a pinch hitter for Chris Hatcher. Jimmy Rollins will hit ahead of him, and big David Hernandez on the mound. Hernandez, 6'3" and 230, is 30 years old, out of Sacramento. Originally signed by the Baltimore Orioles, came up in 2009, eventually wound up with the D-backs in 2011. With Hernandez, four-seam fastball, curve change, and Rollins checking in. A bunt, down to get it, and hardly any play. In fact, no play for Drury. So Rollins, a drag bunt single. Once it got by Hernandez, there was no chance for Drury to make a play. So Jimmy had walked, lined out, and now gets a base hit on the bunt. So Rollins aboard. Howie Kendrick was on deck, but Ronald Torreyes now is coming up with a bat. So Torreyes getting a rare chance to appear in a very tight game. Torreyes has only been in 3 games. He has 5 at-bats, 1 for 5. We'll see now if he's up there to bunt. Jake Lamb is in on the grass. Goldschmidt has to hold Rollins. Now he's showing bunt, but the throw goes to first. Dodgers have used now 3 pinch hitters. Guerrero, who grounded out, Crawford, who struck out, and Torreyes, with Utley on deck. The bunt is down. Good bunt. Picked up by Goldschmidt to Hill. So Torreyes did exactly what they wanted him to do. Drury handling the throw from Goldschmidt. And with 1 out, you have Utley and Seager. So Torreyes did his job. Utley homered on the first pitch in the bottom of the 1st inning, and then struck out the next 2 times, in the 3rd and in the 6th. So a tiebreaker at 2nd in Rollins. And of course Jimmy runs well, and he's so experienced that even though you have a left-hand hitter up, Jake Lamb has to keep an eye on Rollins coming down. And a high fly ball to deep right field. Inciarte has to play it off the wall. Rollins held up. He is going to score on a double by Utley, and the Dodgers lead 2-1. So Chase Utley hits one over the head of Inciarte that hits the base of the right field wall. A breaking ball that didn't break enough for Hernandez. Inciarte never had a chance to glove it. Rollins held up for the moment and then scored easily. So Utley's had a big night, and only the 10th time in his career he's led off for a team. Home run in the 1st inning, and what might be a game-winning double in the 8th, as Jimmy Rollins, in his first game since back about the 11th, scores what is now the go-ahead run after huffing and puffing. We'll be right back. free on MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live on more than 400 supported devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, and so much more. So visit MLB.TV today. If you're not keeping score, you're not aware of the personnel, you might wonder. You look at the Dodger lineup. With a runner at second and one out, the Dodgers had 4 left-hand batters, and if you want to include Grandal, they had 5 left-hand batters in a row. However, Hale allowed Hernandez to face the first, and that was Utley who doubled in the go-ahead run. And the reason is, I'm sure, the fact that earlier Don Mattingly showed his trump card, and that was Howie Kendrick. Slow breaking ball for a strike. Matt Reynolds with Kendrick on the railing alongside of E.J. Ellis. Corey Seager trying to pick up Utley from second. 2-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 8th. That just missed 1-1. Matt Reynolds is a big man out there on the mound, 6'5". 240 pounds, 31 years old come the 2nd of October. He's from St. Charles, Illinois. He had Tommy John surgery just 2 years ago. Utley at second. Owings behind him. And that stays low and in. Seager tonight flied to left, struck out twice. 12 Dodgers have struck out tonight, but they're finally leading 2-1. And a high fly ball into deep right field. If it's fair, it's gone. It is fair. Seager hits it out, and the Dodgers lead 4-1. Corey Seager got what looked like a little bit of a breaking ball up. He hit it right down the line, just inside the right field foul pole for the home run. Edge followed by Adrian Gonzalez fly ball to A.J. Pollock. That's the second out. So the left-hand hitter, Utley, doubled in Rollins against Hernandez, and then Seager homers against the left-handed Reynolds. 3 home runs for Corey, 2 against Arizona. Adrian Gonzalez flying out, followed by Andre Ethier. By the way, when you look ahead for the 9th inning, due up for the Diamondbacks, top of the order, Inciarte, Owings, and Pollock. And if anybody gets on, Goldschmidt. That's Scott Schebler, who's a close pal of Corey Seager, sharing in Seager's excitement. And our trainer Stan Conti to the left of Corey. So Kenley Jansen, who's been itching to get the ball, will finally do so. Ethier having one of those nights, at least up to the moment. It happens to all of them. Not only 0 for 3, he has struck out all 3 times. Good hitter, batting .292. Wow. But as we said, it happens. Ethier strikes out 4 times, but Corey Seager hits a 2-run home run. Chase Utley doubles in a run. The Dodgers score 3 and head for the 9th, leading 4-1. Corey Seager goes to third from short because of the return from Jimmy Rollins, and they work together to give the Dodgers a 3-run 8th inning. A single by Rollins, the double by Utley, and the 2-run home run by Seager. So it is 4-1 Dodgers in the 9th. It'll be the top of the order, Ender Inciarte and Kenley Jansen now trying to turn out the lights. Jansen becomes the 6th Dodger pitcher tonight. Hatcher could pick up the win. He was the pitcher of record. So Frias, Thomas, Baez, Avilan, Hatcher, and now Jansen. Greinke couldn't make it, so the bullpen is doing the job for him. And tomorrow, Clayton Kershaw. Inciarte 1 for 3, single to right, shows bunt, then looks for a strike. Well, in the bottom of the 7th inning, the Padres have come up with 2, though they've tied the Giants 2-2, bottom of the 7th. So the Dodgers with a good chance to at least cut the magic number from 7 to 6 by winning this one. That's a strike. 0-2. The big Kenley with the remarkable numbers, the remarkable control, more than anything else. The idea that he's walked 8 and struck out 77. Better than 9-1. 0-2 to Inciarte. Good player, batting .301. A little nubber up along third. Tough play. Seager bare hands and knows he didn't have a play and wisely held on to the ball. So Inciarte opens up with a nub single up along third base. And the batter will be Chris Owings. Now earlier Inciarte was on base in the 6th inning and you thought he might try to 1. He has 20 stolen bases, but not now. He's at first with Chris Owings. A.J. Pollock batting third. Yangervis Solarte hit a 2-run double for San Diego to tie up the Giants 2-2. And Pollock waits. And of course, you know, after Pollock, Paul Goldschmidt. Owings flied to right, grounded to third, fly deep to center. 0 for 3. Gonzalez, with the Dodgers leading by 3, is no longer holding Inciarte. And there goes Ender on a hit and run foul ball. That was a typical no stolen base attempt. It was typically defensive indifference. The infielders did not move. So Inciarte back. Dave McKay says something to Ender. What that did do is bring Gonzalez up a little bit. 0-1. Not going. 0-2 to Owings. Chris Owings started the game .237. One of his biggest problems, making contact. He has struck out over 130 times. 0-2. There goes Inciarte. Foul back. Neither Utley nor Rollins is breaking to cover. The definition of defensive indifference. So Inciarte twice going, each time fouled away. 0-2 the count. Owings has 4 home runs, 43 runs batted in. Fastball popped in the air. Gonzalez fouled round. So 1 out with Pollock and Goldschmidt coming up. The paid attendance tonight 46,364. 46,364. 1 out in the 9th, 4-1 Dodgers. Pollock popped to second, grounded to second, hit back to the box. 0 for 3. And Paul Goldschmidt waking on deck. So the big thing for Pollock now, if he gets aboard, Goldie then becomes a potential tying run. And Inciarte goes to second. Defensive indifference, but at least he's there. Four runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. 3 of their 4 hits came in the 8th inning. The other hit was the leadoff home run by Utley. Diamondbacks 1 run, 5 hits. Their run, home run by Goldschmidt in the 2nd inning. And that is a mile-high pop fly, and it will be Utley. So now, no matter how great Goldie is, no matter how far he can hit him, no matter the fact he has homered in 4 straight games at Dodger Stadium, he can hit one 10 miles, and the Dodgers will still lead by 1. Hitting in the 260s against Jansen with a home run. 4 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error for Arizona, and 46,364. Goldschmidt homered in the 2nd inning, grounded to short in the 4th, and struck out in the 7th. 1 ball and no strikes. And a line drive backhanded by Utley. So Goldschmidt doesn't go quietly, but Utley is able to snare that line drive up the middle, and the Dodgers defeat Arizona 4-1, and that reduces the magic number to 6. 4 runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers, 1 run, 5 hits for Arizona. A great game by the starting pitchers, Frias and Anderson, that settled into a tight 1-1 tie, and the Dodgers break it open with 3 in the 8th. Chase Utley had a big night, led off with a home run, doubled and scored a run, and makes the last out on the line drive hit by Paul Goldschmidt. So Chase Utley, the player of the game. And a reminder tomorrow, Clayton Kershaw trying to win and cut the number yet again. And the last we know down south, it's still 2-2, Padres and Giants. That'll do it for tonight. Talk to you tomorrow. And for all of us, to all of you, a very pleasant good evening, everybody.